Yo, what's good, everybody? This is your boy. All right, that's enough of that bullshit, man. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Argenis, a.k.a. Genocide. We are here. This is Street Geeks. I gave up my identity. You know, it is what it is. I'm here with the Dundadas and a special guest right next to me. Special introduction. I'm trying to be as serious as possible, man. This mask just gives you like this certain feeling where you just want to be a badass. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, Dundadas, what's up, man?
Yo, what's going on? You already know Josh, the barber, Don.
Adam.
Just Adam.
The other barber.
Just Adam.
One of the other Dons.
Okay. So that's pretty much it right there. We have a special guest right next to me, Greg. It's a pleasure having you today.
Greg.
All right, so wait a minute. First of all,
Good.
all right, so Adam, Josh, you know better. First of all, for you even sitting down, you know to put the fingers up in the sky. Let them know the ones are here.
I mean,
yeah, right.
Cool.
Because
this
you have to acknowledge, it's not just Greg. It's the tribal chief, the needle mover, the rating pusher. I'm the draw of the show. Let's just be honest.
Whoa, hold on. Okay, so
you give
I
him
gotta
the
take
mask.
off my mask
Give
for
him
that
the
one.
The mask.
This is
What an
100%.
introduction.
This is going to be the highest rated episode you've ever had, without a doubt.
Sheesh.
Let's get it.
I mean,
Put the hat on, Coach.
Yeah, hold on. This is
Quinn
madness.
head. You got the Dan Quinn head.
Listen, what an introduction. So, Greg,
yeah, tell me about it.
man,
Let's talk.
that's cool. So, where do you get all this from?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious at this point, right? You know, the tribal chief. You know who the tribal chief is, right?
You know, I'm finding out today.
Oh, have you ever heard of Roman Reigns?
Of course.
That's the tribal chief. That is our one and only.
So, we'll get into the reason why I don't keep up with wrestling later, but you can keep going.
Oh yeah. No, we're talking about WWE. We're talking about wrestling.
Yeah, definitely.
This is WrestleMania week.
Yes, it is. It definitely is. And for those who know how big that week is, for wrestling fans out there, this is like a madness
Super
thing.
Bowl.
You know what I'm saying? This is
This
like
is
the
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
This is the Super Bowl
This
of
is
wrestling, without a
the
doubt.
World Series. This is the whatever you want to call it, the championship of wrestling. This is where the biggest, moments, some of the biggest stars, a lot of people make their comebacks here. A lot of people, new people get introduced. Some of the biggest matchups in history that you can go back to, you know what I'm saying? It's always in WrestleMania. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty cool, bro. Like it's awesome to have you here for the fact that, the nostalgia that wrestling brings. Again, I do know about a lot of the wrestlers nowadays, but I'm not too familiar with them for the fact that, I don't know, I'm going to be one of those that I was an Attitude Era guy. And ever since I felt like that faded away, wrestling wasn't the same to me. So I didn't really keep up with it anymore.
Right.
I would say in the beginning of John Cena's career was where I started already like fading away from watching it. So even John Cena's career, I know how impactful it was, but I just caught like the beginning of it and never really followed. You know what I'm saying? So don't get mad at me.
No, for me, my ending was like the end of Stone Cold kind of era, like that. That was like when I was fading out from it. But my dad and my nieces still watch it actively, and I watch it every now and again, especially when Greg's in the shop. He comes through, gets his hair cut, and we'll put it on at the shop, and I watch it. You know what I'm saying? It's still interesting. I love that match between Bad Bunny and that one Puerto Rican dude. That was fire.
Yeah, Damian Priest.
Yeah, so shout out to them. But
that's how big it's gotten though too. Look at that. You say Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Wrestling got to a point that, there was those iconic characters of wrestling that obviously got it to where it's at. But then now it's become, I don't want to use the word mainstream because honestly it's like disrespecting it in a way. Because wrestling has always been wrestling, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that now they incorporate like stars from everything, or everything, genres, just everything in general,
music,
just
sports,
the culture, everything is involved.
Stephen
it was like the
there.
evolution is pretty dope. You know what I'm saying? The evolution in that aspect for me has always been dope because that I did notice, and it's bigger now than it's ever been in its life. What did it do on the what? I think was it on Netflix? Didn't it break like a record on Netflix or something like
I'm
that?
not sure.
For one of the biggest, I think it was the biggest show ever seen on Netflix or something, 200 and something million worldwide, or it was like a ridiculous number.
Honestly, if it wasn't for wrestling, wrestling is the reason why my father is watching Netflix now. Like that, he's never been on Netflix in his life, and the wrestling's on there now. He's out on there every Monday watching wrestling.
So check it, man. You know what I'm saying? Greg, when I saw you recently at the Geek Fest, you showed me a cool ass picture, and I don't know. I wanted to call you out for a match instantly. I don't know why. One of those belts were just like. You know, I was looking to see. Did you have the hardcore belt? Did you have the hardcore belt, or was that you don't have the hardcore belt?
No.
You don't have the hardcore belt? I definitely probably would have. You probably would have took a chair shot from the one I was sitting on at the moment just for that belt.
Oh, okay.
You know why? Because you know how 24/7 rules. 24/7 rules. So you know that it still abides. You abide by that today, still.
Right.
You know, so imagine that you would have came and visited the table and just
so
a chair shot.
You know it. You got it.
You see, I got it. You know, because again, those were key moments. Even during the Attitude, and even towards the back end of the Attitude era, where you started getting more like the Hardy brothers and the Dudley brothers, and you know they started getting into those hardcore matches in general. You know, what was the name? Al Snow. You know, all those classic, insane characters. I remember those matches, and I think that was what was the most exciting thing. The hardcore belt was just like you can't sleep. You know, because every other belt you get called out on, you made a pay-per-view or something. Now, the hardcore belt is you could be walking in the back room and it's on. As soon as they, you're fighting for on site. And whoever get it right there, that's the winner. You feel me? That's hardcore for real. So,
I used to, I'm talking about hardcore pause, but I used to love ECW. ECW, you remember ECW?
Of course, Extreme Championship Wrestling.
Yo, that wrestling
Paul
was,
Heyman.
Yo, insane.
What was
Sabu.
Sabu, yeah. Sabu.
Dreamer, Tommy Dreamer. Who else was on there? What was that one black dude who looked like DMX? He was wild too.
There was a lot of people, honestly, from ECW that crossed over and still carried that.
The Dudley brothers was on there.
Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam,
yeah.
I'm the whole fucking show.
Yeah.
I remember that.
See, I like the NWO.
That's WCW.
I know. Yeah.
WCW.
When they came out with the game on 64.
So, all right. We can say, obviously, it's always the passion, right? What would you say your key moment in your life, you know, even when you can think about it, like, in your childhood, that you would say, yo, like, you see, like, now you got the belts and stuff, like, that passion is there where you're wrestling. Like, where was that turning point?
What was that moment that made you a lifetime fan?
Like, was it a match? Was it a special match that you saw one day and just like, man, now I'm a fan of wrestling? Was it a wrestler itself, a persona that you saw, you know, like what?
Yeah.
What made you kick it into high gear like that?
So it's kind of funny. Like, all of it's, like, wild. I moved to Ocala when I was 9 years old. Okay. And I remember I got involved. I went to elementary school, and all the kids were talking about wrestling. And I remember I went home, and I was talking to my mom about it. My mom was like, "You're not allowed to watch that. It's too violent, da-da-da-da." And I was just like, man, that sucks, you know. And everybody was talking about it. All the kids were talking. I had no clue what they were saying. And so I had a friend that I lived with that was, like, lived down the road. And I'd go there, and there was like 5 kids there and stuff like that. So I'd always go down and hang out with all of them. And one of them was like, I went over and I was hanging out. I was getting late at night, got to about 8 o'clock or whatever. And then she was like watching TV, one of them. And I said, "What are you watching?" She goes, "I'm watching wrestling." And I was like, can I sit with you and watch it? And, you know, doing the wrong thing, right? And she was like, yeah, sure. Like, come on, sit down. And so I was watching, and Kurt Angle was in the ring. Right, Olympic gold medalist, you know? Sir. And he was in the ring, and he was talking trash. And
snapping ankles.
I was just kind of asking, like, who are these people? And then somebody came out, and I looked at her, and I said, "Who's that?" And then she said, "I don't know who it is." And they were, like, talking back and forth. And then Kurt Angle said, like, "Who are you?" And he said, "My name is John Cena." and it was his debut match.
His debut.
And I was just like,
that's fire.
And I said, and I was like, well, I guess if nobody knows who he is, then I'll just like say like he's my guy. And then he ended up becoming the entire franchise.
Facts.
And so I remember going to school and being like, yeah, I like this guy named John Cena. Oh, he sucks. Nothing's gonna happen with him. And then 2 years later, you know, he's the world champion. And he was the world champion for now, and now 16-time world champion, tied with the most with Ric Flair. And this Sunday, he goes against our WWE champion right now, Cody Rhodes. And if John Cena wins in his last year, his retirement last year, last WrestleMania, he will break the record and become a 17-time world champion.
Damn. You think it's gonna happen?
I have
so,
to.
you know, I was going to ask that. You know, I have two questions for you. First of all, do you think it's going to happen? Because, you know, obviously those rumors and whatever happened with the Royal Rumble. You saw how supposedly mad he was because technically they felt like he should have won that, you know, or something like that. And now
you saw the Elimination Chamber, right? You saw you talked about the Royal Rumble, and he became second place in the Rumble.
Yeah, in the Rumble.
But then the Chamber happened.
Yeah, that's
right. And then John Cena, for the first time in 20 years, turned heel.
Yeah, that was my second question. How do you feel about him coming back as a heel? Because he was such an iconic character, which it seems like nowadays a lot of these guys who became either franchise guys or just some of the top names is like on the back end of their career, they just, I got to go out being a badass. And it just, a lot of them turn heel. Because look at The Rock. You know what I'm saying? The Rock was one that also, same move, come back, iconic. Now he's been a little bit more of a heel than anything also.
It's the final boss.
It's the,
a lot of fans like that, though. I feel like a lot of fans like that.
I just noticed it's always on the back end. You know what I'm saying? Which I get it. You know, and more recently, not back in the days. Obviously, if you were built for that, you were built for that. But a lot of characters now, like, just on their way out, it's just like, how would it feel to get booed, maybe, or something?
Yeah.
You know, like, fuck that. How does it feel to get booed?
I kind of feel like he might be like a double agent. You know what I'm saying? Where he acting like, you know what I mean? But he'll switch back because he doesn't even act like a good bad guy. Like, he sucks as a bad guy.
So you tell me, what
John
you think? What
Cena,
you think?
Romanoff?
No, so when it happened and Cena turned heel, I remember just looking at my TV and I was watching with a friend and I just like stared at it for like an hour. Like, it was that impactful. Like, people are comparing it to when Hulk Hogan joined the NWO.
NWO.
But I think this is the biggest heel turn that's ever happened. Nobody has been face as long as John Cena was without turning heel, and like he actually like broke a world record for that too, and he's in the Guinness World Record book and all that stuff. But he did that move, and I just remember like, I'm shocked. I can't even believe this. I never saw it coming. His last year, 10 months left on his contract. How could this happen, right?
The audacity.
But
yeah, that's insane.
When you think about it, and this is like where it gets really, because like, you know, everybody talks about like how wrestling's fake and all this. Like, okay, it's 2025. We know this at this point, right? It's, you know, obviously the athletes, you have to be an athlete to be in that.
Not if you're Mankind.
Not if you're Mankind, because Mankind will just jump off the damn chamber and just put a tooth through his ear.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but like,
and still get up from the stretcher.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to be an athlete. You have to, you know, taking the bumps on the mat, it hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts.
They still feel the pain. It's real pain.
But
real bruises, real blood. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So like, but I think when you go into like the psychology of it, right, the strategy of it, John Cena turning heel, at the end of the day, it does make sense. The best heels are the ones that can be justified. Think about all the years that people said, let's go Cena, Cena sucks, right? Even to his theme song, he would come out, you know, the do-do-do-do. It'd be like, John Cena sucks and everything like that. He went through all that turmoil and always said, like, rise above hate. I'm going to do these things. This is his last chance to tell the fans exactly how he feels. Right? Yeah. He can be authentic to himself. He doesn't have to be Superman anymore. Facts. And on top of that, John Cena has not won a singles match. The Elimination Chamber he won, which is not a singles match. It's a six-man match. But he has not won a one-on-one matchup since 2018. The last time he won that match was against Triple H in Saudi Arabia in 2018. Since then, he has lost every single match. Damn. So think about the storyline there where
Triple
it's like,
H said, "Suck it, you ain't winning nothing."
Right. And now here he is. He's like, oh, I'm going to go to the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. I didn't win it. I'm going to go Elimination Chamber. He pulled some tactics there. Now it's like, I'm so desperate. I have no other choice. I've got 10 months on my watch. I got to make something happen. I've got to win the world championship. I got to do it by any means possible. Yeah. And John Cena, he knows he's older. He's not as strong as he used to be. He's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as agile as he used to be.
And the body gets beat up, man. It doesn't matter what wrestling, what wrestler you watch an interview. They go through. That's the thing. They say it's fake. Obviously, okay, things are scripted. There's a storyline behind it.
The drama behind it is
there's
fake,
drama, but the body literally does take a toll. They sacrifice their bodies in ways. They learn how to land properly. That's the only thing that's different. They learn how to land properly to reduce the damage so they can last as long as they can.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy.
And, sometimes mistakes do happen. You know what I mean? There's how many deaths already happened.
Yeah, man.
Listen, when Greg came to the barbershop to get his cut, he didn't sit down. He just stared at me and was like, "Did you see what happened?" Like, he had tear. Like, he was tormented. And I was like, I'd already spoken to Noel about it. Noel, where you at? And he was like, Greg, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't agree with it at first.
Yeah, no, so...
he was mad.
I was mad. I was just still, like, I was drinking it in. But you think about it, right? Like, think about, like, even this matchup. John Cena, like, I feel like the real story here is super babyface, been over with all the kids and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's at the end of his career. He realizes he ain't going to be doing this anymore. He's retiring at the end of the year. 2025, it's it. Why not go out as a heel? Because whoever takes out the evil John Cena becomes an even bigger babyface. They're the next superstar. That's the passing of the torch.
So you think he's going to lose?
I think he wins the championship at WrestleMania. He breaks the record, and he just goes on a reign of terror, right? I've taken over the WWE. The WWE is owed to me. He's even said in his promos, he said, I'm going to win the WWE Championship, and I'm going to retire with it because I will be the last real world champion. And so, like, think about it. He's going to hold it. He's going to pretty much hold the WWE, blackmail him, and then whoever takes out the evil John Cena becomes the next biggest superstar in the world.
Marvel has this thing where they say, what if, and they throw these episodes. Now, what if John Cena, even though it's not Marvel, what if John Cena didn't win?
If he didn't win WrestleMania?
Yeah, like, just imagine though, the heartbreak, the meltdown.
It'd be chaos.
The chaos, the riots.
Yeah.
Why do we even do this? Like,
But there's a what if.
Right. But there's always a what if. He's got the final boss, though. Like, that's one thing. Ever since the Chamber, we ain't seen The Rock. We ain't seen him. So, like, we know that they're aligned. We know he's the final boss. He makes the moves. It's only a matter of time till The Rock says, no, this is how it's going to happen, because he owes Cody a lick.
I think it makes sense what you're talking about, how, like, all this time that he's been a face. You know what I'm saying? And, to your story of being so young and watching him, all his starter fan pack, his starter fans, they're already older now.
Mm-hmm, that's it.
So they can, they could see horror movies.
Again, like you said, like, you can see, it's almost like you get to that age where, even like when we watch stuff now, and you look at some of these villains, or their stories, they're justifiable. It's like, it kind of makes sense. Like, okay, I get you. It's fucked up, but I get you. And that's just like one of these cases. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like those adults who have been peeping game since the beginning of his career. When you do go through the emotion, because there's always gonna be an emotional. With that transition, there's always going to be an emotion behind it, especially when you have a passion for a character you follow, or a persona, something you grew up with, you know what I'm saying? And when there's a huge change with what you're used to, it doesn't matter. Change is always, it's not really a comfortable thing to many, you know what I'm saying? So just seeing that alone, it's just the fact that again, the fans just tapping in like that, it's...
Greg, Ric Flair owns that record right now, right?
They're tied. Both John Cena and Ric Flair have 16 world championships.
I
So
want
the
to
what if
so
again.
much. I don't
The
want
what
to
if
stay
again.
tied with Rick.
Nah, he should win. What Greg says is just
Ric
it
Flair.
makes sense. But the only thing I could kind of relate to is when I was a kid, and I was a big fan of Hulk Hogan, and when he lost that match, I believe it was to Yokozuna, and you see all the kids in the stands crying and shit. Like I remember being heartbroken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I could remember as a kid where I was like that fucking that shit sucks.
So you know what makes me think about it? Let's go to the what if again.
Yeah,
You know why? Because look at Bret Hart. Look what happened with Bret Hart, and the beef he eventually had with Vince. What was it, Vince McMahon? When the shit got real, because he was not supposed to lose that match with
Montreal Screwjob.
With Shawn Michaels. That was one of the biggest things known in wrestling because there was a real beef behind that. He actually spit the nicest. Probably nastiest though, but the nicest as far as aim, but the nastiest loogie you could spit on somebody's face from a like a missile, and you heard that shit just bam, hit Vince McMahon right in the eye, and it's crazy because then the commotion with it destroyed a friendship between Bret Michaels and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels because then he thought he was into it, which he really. You know about that drama, so
yeah.
It's just it's crazy because imagine some shit like that, where John Cena gets screwed in the match.
Listen,
I
wish
you gonna go spit in Triple H's face?
I wish that Stephen Amell would have stayed a little bit more involved when he fought. Cody Rhodes was Stardust then, right?
Yeah.
That was
Goldust's son, right?
I like that.
Is it Goldust's son or
Cody's Goldust's brother?
Brother. Okay, yeah.
Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah.
So
okay, yeah, that's right. So yeah, Dustin Rhodes. That's
that was a dope little
Pops is
little mashup there.
Yeah,
he should have went as a
Stardust.
Green Arrow persona though. I want him
it would have been dope
at wrestlers.
It would have been dope.
I mean, Stephen Amell's wrestled several times.
Yeah.
I mean, he still
He had
Cody.
that show,
they're
too.
close with Cody.
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah, he had that show too.
He does.
Yeah, when we first met him, we
Heels.
wore his shirt, the wrestling shirt, and in the picture we all doing that.
Yeah.
Which I don't really know what it meant, but
Oh, too sweet.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? I was wearing a shirt, and like some random dudes would come up to me like, "Yeah," I'm like, the fuck? I don't know. I'm just wearing this shirt because they wanted a match. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, no, like the whole thing came from so you mentioned WCW and NWO, and so the NWO used to do that as the Wolf Pack and stuff. Too sweet.
Yeah.
So it kind of died off after WCW. And then my favorite wrestler, the one that I always talk about, Finn Balor, he started up in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He started up a legendary faction called the Bullet Club. And so they brought that back, the whole Too Sweet thing. And there's been several leaders of the Bullet Club, and they've gone on to have successful WWE careers. Finn Balor, the first ever Universal Champion. AJ Styles had a great career in TNA, now former WWE champion. Kenny Omega, who's in AEW, Jay White, who's in AEW. Anyways, they've had many leaders. The faction's still alive today, but there's been very many variations of it. So Stephen Amell, when Cody came back as Cody also, when he left WWE, he went to New Japan, and he had joined the Bullet Club. So Cody is actually a former Bullet Club leader as well.
That's fire.
This is like the wrestling guru.
You see
right
that,
here.
but you see that's what's awesome, man. Because when you have a passion, you really, you
Facts.
sound like you know what you're talking about.
So,
man. You're wearing a suit for a reason, man.
What's your favorite era, of wrestling?
I mean, everybody always says the Attitude Era. Everybody always goes back to that,
It was just so well scripted. Vince McMahon was a madman, but he knew what he was doing at the same time. And I guess not giving a shit. It was one of the most important things about it.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like everybody else realized that, and they just stopped giving a shit too.
Wait, is that your favorite era?
No, actually, I gotta say it's now.
No.
And I know that probably sounds like a cop out, but wrestling's bigger than it's ever been, right? I went through there was a struggle era.
It was a lull.
There was a struggle era where even as somebody as passionate as I am, and I talk about it all the time, I'd be sitting there and be like, gosh, this is terrible. It was just so hard to watch. And it was really it was a little bit of the COVID era and a little bit before that. There was this gap of just It was just dreadful. Even I couldn't get through a full show. I'd be like, can I just watch the highlights on Twitter?
Damn.
You know? It was just bad, and I felt like Vince McMahon lost his touch. And it was just annoying because, like, I would watch NXT, which Triple H was in charge of at the time, and he'd bring in all these wrestlers and people from New Japan and different promotions.
It was like the different newer faces, right?
Yeah, and then, like, they would do so well in NXT, and then they bring them up to the main roster on Raw and SmackDown, do nothing with them, and they would just get released. And I was just like, okay. But now, like, wrestling, people are talking about it nonstop again. It is the most profitable it has ever been. They are selling out arena after arena. The fact that we even go back to the beginning of the conversation, wrestling's on Netflix.
Exactly. The biggest platform in the world for movies, shows.
Like, Netflix couldn't live stream Love is Blind, and here we are, Monday Night Raw, live streaming every single night. You know? So, it's just, and look at, they're going all over the world. They're now international. Like, it's, you brought up, you know, Puerto Rico and everything, but, like, they're not just doing that. They're going to France and getting the hugest reactions. They're going to Scotland. They're going to different areas.
You
like,
said
it doesn't
earlier
matter.
Dubai, right?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia.
They go to these places and they get the best fans in the world because those fans literally are screaming and singing the songs. There's not a Randy Orton comes out, everybody's singing his song. CM Punk comes out, everybody's singing his song. Seth Rollins comes out, everybody's singing their song.
They have a lot of comic books now that has wrestlers on them. They had Stone Cold. There's a bunch of them.
You gave me one. The Ric Flair one.
The Ric Flair.
Yeah, the Ric Flairs.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
So I got a question for you. If going back to the Geek Fest that day also.
Yep.
You showed me a picture of those belts, right? How I need to know, man, how many matches you went through to attain all those belts that I just seen, dude. Who'd you take down for
And
those,
when
man?
you
how many
answer that-
submissions? How many?
Hold on. When you answer about the belts, talk about how you got the two belts. The
UF?
the era one and the
break
correct
it
one.
down to me, because honestly, those are that's so bad.
He got some dope shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I've definitely, just like, so you guys are comic book collectors, Pokemon collector and stuff like that. Title belts are mine, right? That's just my thing.
That's what you geeking about.
I do. Like, there's, like, rare title belts I want to get that I don't have. There's, like, the Holy Grails, just like you guys, right? So, but most of them I bought. But there is actually, like, one of them, the WWE Championship, like, so we're in WrestleMania week. So fun fact, in 2019, I was playing the WWE video games back in the day.
Okay.
And I was still in college. I was in grad school. And I was in my master's program. And I was, like, working very hard. I wanted to go into WWE, right? I was doing everything I could. Anytime I could make a project about WWE, I was doing it. I met a lot of people. I made a lot of contacts with WWE.
That's right on.
So the video game comes out. It's got AJ Styles on the front. And they were doing a thing, WWE 2K19. And they announced the $1 Million Challenge.
Okay.
Right? So it was a whole thing where, like, you buy the game, you play this hard mode where you had to play as AJ Styles, and, like, you're going against the AI, but you had to beat people, like 15 people in a row. You never, like, all the damage you had, like, you kept it every single match. Biggest pain in the ass. And, like, I remember, like, I told everybody, I was like, we're going to beat this thing. I bought, like, a case of Dr. Pepper. I said, boys, we're here. Let's get it. And
it's fire, locked in.
yeah, it took about, like, probably 6 to 8 hours to beat it. And then I finally beat it. And then once you beat that challenge, you were allowed to go to the next round of the game, or the next round of the challenge, which was you had to do a promo. And you had to call out the cover star, AJ Styles, to a match at WrestleMania. So I looked online. I saw what other people were doing because people had beat the challenge before me. And everybody was in their rooms or the closet or whatever, just with a phone like this. And I was like, no, because I'm a communications major. Right? I do public relations. I said, we got to do this right. So I created a design. I made a graphic and InDesign and everything. I sent it over. I got T-shirts made because every wrestler has a T-shirt, right? I got a professional camera set up and everything. I brought in a videographer, and I went into the UF Stadium.
You did the whole works.
I went into the UF Stadium, and I got a bunch of people wearing my T-shirt to be my fans. And then I called out AJ Styles. And
that's fire.
And so I did the video. I sent it and I said, all right, it is what it is. And it was about like 3 months later.
How many people you had there, Greg?
I had about like 30 people like,
Yo,
just, like, wearing my t-shirt.
That's fire.
That's wild.
Do you have a copy of that video?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I called him out, and I was just like, okay, whatever, and kind of moved on. And it was like probably 3 months later, and I get an email, and it said, you were selected one of 4 people in the world. You're one of the 2 North American representatives to go to WrestleMania and like compete for $1 million. And so it was me, one guy from Philadelphia, a guy from Australia, and a guy from Germany, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we got sent there, and they paid for and you got to bring a friend. I brought my best friend, Alex, and they paid for the whole week. So we got to go to the NXT pay-per-view. We got to go to WWE World. We got to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony.
That's amazing.
We got to go to WrestleMania.
Sheesh.
And then also too, we stayed in the same hotel as the wrestlers.
Damn.
So like after the shows, they'd be at the bars, and I'd be out there just talking with them.
Get out of here.
And so
he's the real tribal chief.
now remember,
I didn't know
I
this.
said
I didn't know this. No, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
This is
That's fire.
So I said I wanted to work there, right? So like the other 3 guys, they're like losing their mind. They're like talking to all these wrestlers, like, oh my gosh, let me get a photo. I went to every show dressed up in a suit and everything, and I had my portfolio on me, and I'd be like, hey, it's nice to meet you. And I would give them my resume and be like, what can I do? What do I need to do to be here? And everybody would look at it and just be like, oh, you just got to keep following your dreams. I was like, oh, that doesn't help me much. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I still, like, I have people in my phone right now, like, to this day, like, you mentioned, like, the Dudley boys. Like, I have Devon Dudley's phone number. I have, Byron Saxton. I've met,
you
like,
won't,
several.
You won't FaceTime?
Yeah. Oh, no,
FaceTime?
I'm not. Definitely not. I'm not going to just hit up Devon like that. But,
that's fire, though, man.
But, yeah, no, I met him, and then they gave me one of the championships. Like, that was one of the things. So one of them in my collection is from that. We did compete for $1 million. I lost. The guy from Philadelphia won. So, like, I could have been a millionaire. So it's kind of a little bit of a heartache at the same time. But, it's cool.
Hey, if he was a millionaire, he would have been here.
Yeah,
fuck these little ass motherfuckers.
Yeah. We all got a coach as, like, one of our things, like, for the show of it. Like, here's your WWE superstar coach. Mine was Paige. I don't know if you know her, the women's wrestler. Mm-hmm. But I had Paige, and that was the coolest thing ever. So I got to come out to her entrance music in a ring in front of everybody at WrestleMania and play WWE 2K.
Wow.
So,
yo,
that's fire.
That's
fire.
Yeah.
I never knew that. Yeah. I knew that you was trying to get a job with them. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I had no idea about none of that.
That was like the beginning of your connects.
Yeah. It was
that the video game. I remember he told me
that's
years
dope,
ago.
man. Yeah,
so like dope. Yeah, no, that's when I did the promo thing at the stadium.
Put it on camera.
Yeah, like right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, as close as possible.
There you go.
Don't worry, we'll crop and zoom in and all that. We'll show the people.
But yeah, no. And then you wanted me to mention the UF belts.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing you wanted me to talk about too was, and I know we're gonna get into this at some point. So I'm a professor at the University of Florida. It's one of my like 3 jobs. But when I started teaching at UF, I was like, man, like how can I like combine my passion with my students?
Yeah, right on.
So like at the end of the semester, every semester, I always buy all my students dinner, and then I bring in my championship and we take a photo, and that photo I post it on social media. But I have every single photo of all my students on my wall in my at my job at City Hall. So like when you go into my office, you'll see every single one of my students with the championship.
That's amazing.
And so I started off with the WWE Championship, and that was what I would bring in with like these custom UF side plates. But then WWE, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen at some point because they started like once Fanatics bought WWE's shop, they started messing around with some collaborations. So first it was like the NFL belts and stuff like that, and it was just going. I was like, there's going to be a day. I know, and I remember I just check every once in a while. Then they announced like we're doing like this college collaboration. Only 12 schools are going to be picked, and I was like, come on UF, and they got picked.
Of course, yeah.
And I was like, let's go.
Let's go.
I order. Well, first of all, I go online, and I ordered a belt right away, and I was like, I got to get this for my students. It'd be great. And it came in the mail, and it was a misprint. And so like the University of Florida, like every one of the college belts had like the year it was established at the bottom of the belt. And so UF was established in 1853. The belt said 1883. And so I was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, oh, they did me wrong. So
right.
I was like, I tried to return it, and I was like, can you send me like the correct one? And they said, yeah, we're going to send it to you. Like, hold on to that one. Once the new one comes in, send the old one back. Well, I waited like 3 weeks. I called. I kept calling. They never sent one back. And they just refunded my money back to my account. So like, hey, we're not sending it to you anymore. Here's a refund. So I kind of got a free belt out of it. Mm-hmm. Eventually, they like brought back, like after they fixed it a couple months later, they brought it back. And I bought the regular one. So I have the misprint one for free too. But it was funny because I was like trying to figure it out. So I had this belt and I'm like, nobody has this belt. And I kept looking to see when it was going to come back online. And there was a girl at UF and she was like walking around with the belt. And I was like, who's this bitch? So like, I was like, how's she doing that? So like, I looked her up. She worked for WWE. So like, I matched with her on LinkedIn and I asked like, can we have coffee or can we do a Zoom? And so she got on Zoom and talked to me and she went to UF, graduated with me, works in their legal department, and we had a conversation.
It's a small world after all.
And she told me, she said, like, what happened was UF accidentally signed off on the wrong year. And then they made the belts, and then UF right away called him and said, whoa, this is wrong.
Classic.
And then they were like, we got to pull him. So, like, the 1883 misprint, like not a lot of people have that. Like there's only a few of them went out and they pulled it.
I told him. So
crazy,
he asked
right?
me. We had a conversation because he was waiting on Adam
at the barbershop.
You know what I'm saying? So
I was getting updates to this scenario every haircut. So I'm waiting on the emails. I'm like, it doesn't matter, nigga. You keeping that belt, bro. You're keeping all the belts they send you.
Facts. So he asked. He was like, yo, you think I should get a sign? I was like, well, I said the regular one definitely. But the error one, since it's the error one, leave that in natural condition, and just preserve it. Yeah. Because that error one, only so many people have that error one. And usually when comic books, that error one would be worth more money.
Yeah, the ratio on that is different.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a mistake. That was cut off quick.
5? Do you even know what the ratio is on that?
I think like 20 of them got out.
Wow. Yeah, you see again, like.
And then the thing is, after so many years, how many of those 20 are going to be in pristine condition? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. One of them might have been given to a kid.
You know what I mean?
He didn't even take care of it.
Yeah, because if everybody got one free, like you know what I mean? They might have just gave it to a fucking 5-year-old to destroy. You know what I mean?
Well, it was funny because when she was out on campus, because she actually small world, she graduated in the same class as me from the same college journalism as me. And but she told me, she said they sent her to UF to promote the belts, and because she was alumni, and they told her, they're like, because that was when the misprint was out, and they gave her one of them. And they said, you got to cover the year, you can't show it. So like WWE was telling her, like, you got to make sure your hands over the year.
Show the mistake.
Yeah. So like she's walking around with this like belt, and like in all the pictures you can't see the year because she's got her hand over it every single time. So
yeah, but that's
it's crazy how though just. Again, you know, I always use the word passion because that's what you end up having for it. But where it can lead you in life when you really like tap in and you really like enjoy it for what it is and do what you can, you know, to bring it to life. Like, look at those situations. You would have, you know, who would have thought, you know, you being able to be, again, competing for $1 million for a game, again, from your passion, being able to be in the same room as these wrestlers, having a collection of belts that, again, man, you know, I wish you would have had the hardcore belt that day.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, but that's fire, though, man. You know, I hope you even attain that one day, just to have it as part of your collection. If that's not a mission, you know, I think that's one of the coolest belts there is. That shit is all fucked up. You know, you might need to add a couple pieces of tape left just to hold a couple.
You know they made a new one, right?
No, you see, I'm not kept up like that, you know, with wrestling. So
here's your random knowledge. I mean, it's not like an active belt, but they made because you know, so for you guys, like the Hardcore Championship was the old WWE Wayne Dingle belt, and like it was smashed in a hammer and everything, and then they put tape over and called it a Hardcore Championship, right? But so they took one of the newer WWE Championships, smashed it up, put the tape, put the hardcore, and they actually gave it to Travis Scott. who is singing one of the WrestleMania theme songs.
I see they're pushing him a lot for that right now.
Yeah, and they had him come out on the Netflix debut, and he also was out there when Cena turned heel.
Yeah, I seen an interview with him in the room, and he told me that he's gonna put a wrestling fucking stage mat or ring in every house he owns because he's addicted.
I guess that's what it is. When you got the money, you can make that happen. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Just invite your homies over. So it's pretty cool because that brings me back. It unlocked like a core memory. Since you've been out here for a while, shit, man, we grew up out here too, pretty much. I remember having a friend in Marion Oaks that used to go to school with us. His name was Matt. So it was crazy because I was hearing the stories from like other friends how this kid Matt, his father was an actual professional wrestler. And towards the back part of Marion Oaks where he lived, his pops used to actually set up a ring at the house.
They used to have boxing matches back there, right?
Okay, so I boxed. Yo, shout out to Tony Rivera, wherever he's at in life, man. Shout out to you, bro. It's been probably years, you know what I'm saying? But I remember that was the opportunity I ended up getting. It was boxing him in that ring. But it was just the fact that it was just the rumors. And again, at that time, it was the Attitude Era time. So just the hype as a child, like, what, man, seeing a real ring, and the fact, like you said, man, them shits ain't, the turnbuckles, the ring itself, the belts, even, like the ropes bouncing off of them shits hurt. Like all that.
They're stiff.
Yeah, they're stiff. All that, man. Shout out to Matt. I don't know where you at in life, but his dad was, again, a professional wrestler. And I remember the way when I went to his house and the way I witnessed it for the first time, they had it built on their yard on the side. So it's like he had all his buddies there. I guess they were having like a practice session. And they were just, man, killing. So when I pulled up, they were already out there. These grown men just slamming each other and everything in this ring. And it was just like, it was so dope. And it's funny because I guess I caught him on the back end because as soon as I got there, probably like 10 minutes later, you know what I'm saying? Like the pool was right next to the ring. So it was just like, as soon as they were all done, they would just all jump in the pool to freshen off and just chop it up and talk about whatever they had going on. You know what I'm saying? And, bro, it's wild, whatever that, bro, that's how I remember it, though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sweat in, sweat out.
Sweat in, sweat out, bro, that's how they were, bro, that's how crazy it was, man, but I remember that, and, again, it got to the point that Matt got so popular just for the fact that they had the wrestling ring, friends started going there just to watch them practice, and then, free time, when they were done, he would let us go in the ring already, which on top of that, bro, the amount of sweat and shit, too, when they're in the ring, bro, it's crazy.
Hepatitis.
Bro, it's wild. But we had wrestling matches, boxing matches, and again, I experienced a little of just, jumping off the ropes or just bouncing off of them and just seeing how stiff all that shit is. And even when you get slammed, man, that shit is not comfortable. They do really train, you know what I'm saying, to land right. Because... holy crap, just playing around, man, getting body slammed or anything. If we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. We were just doing it for the entertainment, but we were also being rough. You ain't no limit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And next thing you know, you're fucking really DDTing your friend. You know what I'm saying?
As you should.
Yeah, a pile driver too, in an accidental slip.
Have you ever
very worn?
Have you ever been to that wrestling warehouse?
The Dory Funk?
Yeah. So like I used to actually do like amateur wrestling and stuff when I was in high school here and even in college, which that was fun, because going in as a freshman, by the way, at Westport, I walked in. I remember they said like they had a sign saying like join the wrestling team, and I was like, okay, like this will be cool. And I dressed up as John Cena. I had my "You Can't See Me" wristbands, my jean shorts, and I go in there, and I remember walking in, and I was like, where's the ropes? And they're like, shut the fuck up, get in here, and then they brought me in and beat the shit out of me. But I ended up staying on because I was just like, I guess it's the closest thing to wrestling, and I learned about that and learned how important that was. But I did go to the Dory Funk school, and I was there. I did it for 3 months. It was $3,000 for 3 months. And I saved up my money when I was like a little bit younger. I just got out of high school, saved as much money as I could, went to it. And it was definitely an experience. And that was the first time where I was like, oh, like I'm in a real wrestling ring, right? And we're taking the bumps and we're learning, like we're doing the rolls. They're teaching us like simplistic things like body slams. And how to like literally pick people up and how to like actually take the hit, right? Dory Funk coming in, bringing us in like a WWE legend, and teaching us how to do like true uppercuts and everything like that, and how to sell, coming out to your own entrance music and everything like that, right? And I remember my big thing too, because I was a small guy, wasn't like sitting there like being like John Cena or anything like that, but I was like, man, just give me a microphone. Give me a microphone and I'll make it happen.
Shit.
And that's where like I remember every promo class we had, everybody would like kind of sit around the ring and be like, yeah, get Greg in there. So it was cool.
Yeah, we was invited to a match, and I had brought my nephew and my mom, and it was pretty dope. They put on the whole show, and it was pretty dope.
Yeah, I remember there was two that we did a battle royal one time. We had a couple of matches. Former tag team champion at the Funking Academy, Funking Conservatory. I'm sorry, and but we did a battle royal. And I remember, like, there was one point where, like, somebody accidentally hit me and busted my nose. And, like, blood just started dripping all over and stuff. And I was just like, man. And everybody started looking at me like, dude, are you okay? And then I remember, like, because they're whispering to each other, and stuff like that. So as soon as there's a bunch of chaos, there's, like, 30 guys in the ring. And then they're like, dude, are you all right? And I was like, no, it's good. Like, keep going. Like, this is great. And I have like the blood all over me, and he's like, I don't know, I think I got to get you out of here. He's like, no, let me sell it. Let me sell it. So like they threw me out of the rig and everything. I got blood everywhere. I'm just like going like, oh God, and then like everybody's like, oh my God, and these people in the crowd are like, what's going on? They're screaming at me and stuff, and I'm just like, I can't believe this. Oh God, it's like throwing blood. And so I was like, so there, it's so terrible.
Hepatitis. Then next thing you know, next thing you know, you hear Gangrel theme music.
Oh yeah, the Brood.
the Brood. Edge and Christian power. Yeah. Man, it's so dope to hear about this, man. Obviously the experience, and the love for wrestling, is one of those things, again, like us, we all have our different passions. I'm a huge Marvel guy, and just the fact that even just having love for that and just wanting to experience things that have to do with that, how I can lead you to other opportunities that somehow, man, it's just like, holy shit, how did I get here?
Yeah, for sure. I like Marvel too.
Yeah, well, I hope you do, because if you would have said DC, then we would have
DC's trash.
Okay. Yeah, you see that? Now we're talking. I need you on the show more often.
I call what it is.
Well, since we're talking about Marvel real quick, let's the reason why I started the episode with the Doom mask, I just want to throw this little thing out there for those who didn't know. There has been a leak. I don't know if it's confirmed to be true, but they did give a little bit of a glimpse of how Tony Stark, or should I say Victor Von Stark, will be looking as infamous Iron Man, a.k.a. Dr. Doom, with the Iron Man style suit. You know what I'm saying? The look, it looked like, damn, man, I forgot. Bro, the comments were funny.
They were hilarious.
They were hilarious. They were comparing him to so many people.
First of all, they said he looked like Odin.
Yeah, that was one of them. I'm forgetting what actor. There was an actor that when they said it wasn't Kurt Russell, was it? No, it was somebody, like a young somebody. But it was just hilarious. Regardless, the way he looks, he has the long white hair. Crazy, looks old. If that's really what they're going for, I don't know. The suit looks like an Iron Man suit with just a green cape over it. Let's just face it. Yeah. I hear the rumors that his helmet is going to be nanotechnology too.
It'll be CGI.
So again, it'll be CGI'd in. That's ass, but we'll see how it works out. That's the reason why I had this. Shout out to Josh, the barber, the Dundada, for bringing the master.
You did.
Not a huge fan of this guy. Look,
it's gonna be for sale on whatnot.
Curly for. So there you go, man. Make sure you catch us on Street Geeks Whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Where you can get your comics, collectibles, Pokemon, the whole 9 yards. We're tapped in. Listen, Greg, again, man. Just going back to the wrestling real quick. Man, it brings so much nostalgia, and I appreciate the fact that you even shared those experiences with us. Because again, man, those are things that I can only imagine the emotions of like every time you were in one of those situations, man. You're like, it's one of those shocking moments, like holy shit, like this is really happening.
Memories.
Like you're like rubbing your eyes, like this is really happening, And again, I hope that it continues to take you to even further places. You know what I'm saying? With that same passion. Because again, that's something that never dies, bro.
I'm pretty sure we all have memories of sitting with our families and
man. Again, wrestling was one of those things, that the family watched it.
WWF, ECW, and then WCW. What was the other one? WWE.
Yeah, man.
It's just
then
no,
they
WWE's
had TNA.
now, right? WWE's. So what was the other one? It was WCW. And WWF, right?
Yeah, WCW,
ECW, and then they had TNT.
The TNA.
I didn't watch the
TNA.
Wasn't
the
it
TNA one?
Or TNT?
Yeah. WCW, it was on the TNT channel, but there's a wrestling called. It's still going around. TNA. They have TNA wrestling. They have a partnership with WWE now, which you mentioned the Hardy Boys. They're the TNA tag team.
So when I used to be in the Salon Suites, the owner of that building, his ex-wife owned TNT or TNA or whatever it was.
Yeah, TNA.
The old lady.
Dixie Carter?
Yeah, I believe so. The old lady. That was his ex-wife.
That's wild.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, it was whatever to me, but I know he would tell me stories. He would tell me wild stories. Like, this dude is filthy rich, and he tries to relate to the normal people and just like, sitting on a yacht, man, my ex-wife, and like, bro, what?
That's wild.
Well, I can't relate to none of that shit, bro.
But like, as we kind of transition through this, is there any other matches for this WrestleMania that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think Roman Reigns, Tribal Chief, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk in a triple threat. They're gonna main event night 1 of WrestleMania. I think that's gonna be.
There's multiple nights now.
It's 2 nights.
It's like a gone.
Yeah, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, bro, they leveled up, bro. You see? Look
double
at that shit.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Get more money.
Damn,
that's it.
that's
now
nuts.
it's split into 2 nights to make more money because this is
true.
a full
They changed it to
entertainment. It's a
pay-per-day,
full
not
entertainment. There's so
pay-per-view.
many storylines and things going on.
It's not even pay-per-view anymore. It's a premium live event. That's what PLE is. That's what we call them. But,
Wow.
So that triple threat. That's dope for them. Three. Those are
that's gonna be a big match right there.
already.
yeah, that's gonna be good. The Royal Rumble winner, Jey Uso. Yeet.
So, yeah.
Yeet Mania coming for Gunther in the World Heavyweight Championship. So that's going to be good. I know they're starting to get a little steam with Tiffany Stratton defending the WWE Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair. I have no interest. Hate Charlotte Flair. Hate her so much. I'm sure I hope she's a great person. Can't stand her. Never want to see her win. I don't care. Like, you could put Charlotte against anybody, and I will want the other person to win.
Grandmother Willow.
Yeah,
Charlotte.
like, it doesn't even matter. Like Charlotte versus Thanos. Like, I want Thanos to win.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. So there's that. And then another big one too. Another triple threat. The Women's World Championship. Io Sky defending against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. I think that's going to be the dark horse.
Wait, so are they're all fighting for themselves and that shit?
Mm-hmm. That's a triple threat.
Oh, wow. I know two of those 3.
Yeah. So
Rita's dope.
Oh, and of course, like the Intercontinental Championship 4-way. My boy Finn Balor in that. The Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker. The newly signed WWE Superstar Penta, who came from AEW. And then Latino Heat. Dom Mysterio, Dirty Dom, but I think Dirty Dom's gonna win. Of course, Finn's not. My life, Finn never wins. It's very unfortunate, but he should. They're holding him down. He should be winning more, but I think Dom Mysterio walks out as the Intercontinental Champion.
And that's Ray's son, right? Ray's son. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad was telling me about him a little bit the other day, and how he's like a bad guy or whatever, heel. You know what I mean? And
yeah. He's in the Judgment Day with Finn, and I think I don't think Braun Breaker, because he's the reigning champion. That's a fatal 4-way, so every man for himself. First one to get pinned, right? He's so dominant. Braun Breaker, like he's one of the next big stars. He's gonna be somebody big. Dude can just like the way he hits the ropes, his intensity. He's just the guy. Like right now, there's last Monday Night Raw. He ran down the ramp and speared Carlito, and it like went viral because of like just how ridiculous that spear was. But yeah, no, I don't think Braun gets pinned. I think because Finn and Dom Mysterio, they're in the same faction. I think Dom actually pins Finn, and that like continues their turmoil between each other.
And that's
keep that tension.
Yeah, I mean, I see it coming, and I think Dom definitely deserves it because he
looks ready for it. He looks ready for it.
Yeah. Finn also like Noel likes to send me Finn facts.
Yeah.
So he likes to just text me and let me know like how bad Finn is, and I appreciate that. Like one of the more recent facts is since 2023, Finn Balor has won 2 singles matches, and he just sends that to me, and I'm just like, thanks, I appreciate it, Noel. Like you're awesome. Like I don't do that to him. I didn't go like
shout out to Noel, man.
We got
listen.
5 minutes.
Hey, no,
you were supposed to be here.
Let me just say this.
You were supposed to be here, man.
I want Noel to know when John Cena turned heel, I didn't say, "Hey, there's your guy." I didn't do that. Disrespectful.
Can you see him now? Can you see him now?
Right.
there you go.
Yeah, because I know he was crying. I know he was. Rachel told me.
Oh,
He was crying. Yeah,
you got your spot blown right here on Street Geeks, man. You already know.
So-
You were crying.
Yeah,
You were crying.
Your
but no, it's
wife
okay.
said it. Your
Finn
wife
Balor
said
can't
it.
win a match.
Yo, y'all make sure to comment below and let just everybody
Shout out to
said
Rachel.
you were crying under the comments right now. Just playing, man. Shout out.
But
Noel,
the
though.
tears,
You know what I'm saying? I wish you were here today.
Not playing.
You know, it would have been a dope. You know what I'm saying? It would have been dope to have you here. Obviously, life kicks
It's
in.
real beef. It's
But,
real beef.
Again, man, you know, with
perfect
all
for the
this,
setting, right?
you know, with all this wrestling, man, again, you know, bro, there's just so much how you can, all these character developments, this could just go in so many ways. It continues to grow. It continues to develop newer people, the new opportunity, new generation on the way. You know, it's just a beautiful thing to see at the level that wrestling got. And you know, again, to be able to speak with somebody that was able to pretty much experience it at that level too, you know what I'm saying? Is dope, man. Like,
So,
I appreciate it.
As we close out this wrestling bit,
yeah.
right now, to end it off, let's name each favorite character of all time. You know what I'm saying? Because you know we all
Favorite
have one.
or like who do we think is like the best?
Both.
Okay, I mean, sure.
That's
like-
kind of tough because I don't
just
think
opinion.
I would
It's
say
just
the best.
opinion. It's
I
just
wouldn't-
opinion. What's your
But my
opinion? Your
favorite-
favorite character and who you think is the best? I guess
Okay, so
all
man,
time,
that's tough.
any
Okay,
era.
so if I'm gonna say all time, because if I gotta go far back just to get to the point, I was a Razor Ramon guy. You know,
Hey,
I
yo.
liked
you
Razor
know,
Ramon.
hey yo,
Yeah.
the toothpick thrown at your face,
Yeah.
the razor's edge, the attitude. You know, before he became Scott Hall, and all that change. The Razor Ramon was what used to be the shit for me. But again, being that growing up and then really getting into the Attitude Era, you know, man, it's tough because, you know, Stone Cold was iconic.
What?
You know,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
matter how you
Stone
look
Cold
at
was
it,
one of my
you know, I
favorites.
don't think that anybody. Obviously, there's people that again have these characters that carry the franchise now or carried in so many different ways. But Stone Cold just didn't give a shit.
No,
You feel me?
he was
And
great.
the fact that you also had an owner like Vince McMahon that at that time was not giving a shit either. When you have two motherfuckers that carried wrestling by not giving a shit and making that an era, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I do gotta give it a Stone Cold for how iconic he was, man. Like I'm you know, I could have said The Rock because Rock, even from Nation of Domination, when he was, you know, when Farouk and all of them was Kama Mustafa and you know, the Godfather was what's his name? Gosh, man. Oh man, what was it? Because it was the Godfather. It was what D'Lo Brown was under them too. But I
Mark
just don't
Henry.
remember Mark Henry. Yeah, but I just don't
Yo,
remember their actual names under Nation
The
of Domination.
stories that you hear about Mark Henry are unreal.
But Stone Cold.
Like
I don't
real-
want to hold up too much. I would say Stone Cold would be the one that was the iconic, but Razor Ramon would be my favorite of all time.
All right. I'll go next.
Dale.
Yeah.
My favorite of all time was probably Jake the Snake.
Okay.
I just liked the
Jake the Snake Roberts.
I like, these guys know at the barbershop I'm always watching videos about animals and insects and nature. So the idea that like he brought a snake in there and like people would get bit. Like I wanted to see people get bit and I wanted to see people die. So and then he pulled it from that snake could be sitting under the ring all this time. Like I don't know. All right. Anyways, but Jake the Snake was dope. I got to meet him. And when I met him, he wasn't doing very well. But he kind of fixed his ways thereafter for the most part, and he was doing a lot better when they had that giant honorary event where he actually spoke and like thanked everyone for like helping him out because he was going through a tough time and all that. Who I think is the best? I'd have to go with John Cena. I just have to pick him. Like I kind of like him. I mean, I like him too, but he's not my favorite.
Yeah.
The GOAT.
But I would have to say John Cena.
The GOAT.
Yeah.
The GOAT.
And I did get to meet him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know Greg was very jealous of that.
That also helps.
He was very jealous of that. And little Lewis pissed his pants and cried like Noel.
Of course, my nephew.
He's
shout
doing
out
after
my
he
nephew.
watches this episode of the podcast.
John Cena fan. This dude probably has an altar in his crib of this guy.
Right, he was like stuttering.
I went through this whole dissertation with him before. Lewis,
bro,
bro, listen, he's just look at him, bro. He's right there. He's
a
normal,
human.
bro.
He's
got his armbands on
man.
just like you, bro.
He's
like, yeah, you're right, bro.
His Goonie, right? His nickname is Goonie. And if you watch this Goonie, you know what I'm saying? Man, yeah.
He's like, should I ask him to maybe
You cried too.
Like
that's another person that cried.
Choke slammed me through the table. I was like, that'd be a dope picture. You want to do that? I'll take the photo. And when he gets there, he's like, hey. And I'm looking at Lewis, and I'm like, you hear me in the background, like everything was slowing down. I'm like,
that's funny.
And Lewis like, hey, and he left. And I look at John. I'm like, listen, bro, I have to apologize for my friend. He's the biggest fan of you. He didn't know what the fuck to say to you.
Yeah,
he was like, it's all right. It's all right. It's okay. I get it.
So Josh, what's up with yours?
All right, so as a young kid, my favorites was definitely Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. Those are my two guys. I like Macho Man too, his whole persona. Ooh yeah, like that whole shit. Razor Ramon,
man, Sting, honorable mention.
Sting, yeah. Sting.
Who was just at a con.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I definitely shifted to Stone Cold. After that whole era of the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, definitely shifted to Stone Cold and Undertaker too when he was on the bike.
Yeah, how did I feel about
That era of Undertaker was badass as well. As far as the best, I mean, honestly, I think I would for me I think it would have to be Stone Cold for me.
What?
Because the amount of shit he did and
rattlesnake
attention he brought, it was nuts. Like he didn't give a shit. It was true.
It was just,
and he was fucking everybody up. He gave everybody the stunner, like the fucking
everybody caught it.
Everybody
caught it. Everybody caught it. Everybody iconic. Everybody.
Facts.
I felt like that a little at one point. Even when The Rock too, man, catching everybody with the rock bottom or whatever. But Stone Cold's
gave everybody.
Everybody.
That shit. Everybody.
Nobody was spared. The old lady got it too. Didn't the old lady get it too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know
what I'm saying? Outside the ring?
Probably both.
I will mention real quick because we do got to get into other things, but there is I was a fan of a certain wrestler, and I don't know if you remember him, but he was part of Raven's flock.
Billy Kidman. Shooting Star Press.
Okay, that was my favorite wrestling move. You see, maybe I enjoyed watching him because he was just like a newer, at the time, the wife beater with the jean shorts looking, kind of gangsterish for, what I'm saying, with the Ravens flock. But Billy Kidman's Shooting Star Press, that was my favorite move to watch, man.
So, Greg, does your answer different from your favorite and the best? As far as John Cena?
Yeah, no, I obviously my favorite right now is Finn Balor, as I mentioned.
Okay, yeah.
But I think the best wrestler of all time, it's a toss up. It's between two, but the one that I think could tell the best story was the most technical was Brian Danielson. I just think like he's an incredible storyteller, but I also want to give credit, and I can't believe none of you have said it. His coach, Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
Shawn Michaels
is
like
iconic. Yeah,
just the way that
kid, man.
because it's not about the moves, it's about the story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like who can tell an emotional story in that ring. It's about the moments. And like, yeah, the moves are cool and everybody likes a good move that like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. But if you can't tell a story during that whole like 30-minute sequence, it doesn't mean anything. You have all the flashiest moves in the world, but like nobody's going to remember it. And like how many moments has Shawn Michaels given to us that just like created the landscape for all these wrestlers to follow. Every wrestler does a super kick now. And they all do it because they want to be like Shawn Michaels. Because everybody does a super kick, but only Shawn Michaels does sweet chin music.
Yeah, facts. That's
Yeah,
facts.
I think I'm going to retract my John Cena and say Undertaker. I don't know how that's escaped me. Yeah, and Undertaker don't even fucking talk.
But it's just because he's a GOAT though too, man. He's one of those legends that had some of the most iconic matches. Come on, he's the one that made sure Mankind got that tooth through his lip after being thrown from the top of the cage.
Intro with he had all the lights, right? Didn't he have? Didn't he show like all the candles and all the floating things from
Mankind?
Oh no, I'm thinking what's his face that passed away? Not Mankind. Oh my God, the other guy with the big beard.
You just said every wrestler in the world.
Come on,
man. With the
guy, Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan? What about him?
Isn't he one that they used to have all the lights? It would get dark and they would turn on like all the candles or.
Oh, he's talking about Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt that had the eagle with the alter ego with the painted red and black face.
I liked his intro. I liked his
Rest in peace.
Well, listen, man, this is a mysterious question, man. Since we talked about it, I know you mentioned that's why you have the suit on, right? You know what I'm saying? You just came from work.
Yep.
You know, and you know, we might as well do a sneaker check because this is a special moment. This man has shoes on. He came as a businessman to take care of business on this podcast. You feel me? Me, I got my slides beat up today. You know, my Marvel slides. But what y'all got going on over there, yo? What y'all got going on over there?
Just got some fours on. These are the reimagined, right? Or
Nigga, those are threes.
These are threes. Oh, yeah. I just grabbed them shits.
I just grabbed them shits.
All right. Yeah,
these are the threes.
I was comfortable today.
Just put them shits on. Yeah, you know.
I just got some Vans on, some new schools.
Some Vans. I haven't rocked Vans in ages, man. That used to be Vans and Airwalks.
I could sure I grabbed the fucking fours.
I remember the Airwalks.
Thank God you didn't have one of each. Lord have mercy.
Imagine.
Bro, Vans and Airwalks back in the days for skaters. That's why that was.
I used to love their shirts with the
VCs, Airwalks, Vans.
Oh yeah, Etnies.
ES's too. Like they were all on there, but then Airwalks eventually made it a Payless, just like any other brand, you know, that doesn't make it anywhere. But Airwalks used to be the shit. Just like LA Gears, even though they had nothing with skateboarding. I remember LA Gears and light up shoes. They eventually you catch light up shoes in Walmart, but back in the days when LA Gears had the light ups.
That's how they used to spot us up north. My mom would always send my whack ass outside with LA Gears, so she knew who was the slowest running outside.
But
so check it.
Talking about UF, whatever.
UF. As a matter of fact, yeah, I wanted to bring that up since you're coming from UF, man. Were you in town? Obviously, you seen that the basketball team, all right? Ever since what?
Since Joakim Noah.
Yeah, 2005, 2006, right? They've been trying to pretty much lock one in, and they finally did. What was it? Last year they were pretty close. They made it to the Sweet 16, but just got shut down. I remember by who. But this year they sealed the deal with Houston, which I'm not gonna lie, man. A lot of people slept on Houston. If you didn't realize that they were like a top 10, top 15 team for the past couple years, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to them because they also took out Cooper Flag, you know, on the way up, Duke, you know. But the Gators did their job, that's what mattered, you know what I'm saying? And were you there in town when it happened?
Well, the game happened in San Antonio, but
well, as far as the celebration, I'm sorry. Let me be more specific.
No, I was at my office doing my work. I let my students out, you know, to go enjoy.
Cool professor.
Yeah,
cool professor.
No, like I got like it was the game happened on Monday. Sunday, I probably like around like 11 o'clock at night started just getting like 20 emails like, hey, cancel class. I'm not going to make it to class. Hey, sorry, I'm not going to make it to class.
The celebration.
And so I told him, I was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. Like, if you can't come, like, we'll do a Zoom. And you zoom in and they just zoomed in. And I was just pretty much like, all right, you made it for class day. Enjoy the game. And so they went and did that. But,
at least.
and I just went and did some work and stuff. And then when I was getting ready to leave, like, of course, I heard the chaos. Everything. Like, my students, too, they took, like, pictures and videos. People doing keg stands. People climbing light poles.
I was just about to say, was any of your students the one dude that climbed the light pole? And like, he didn't sustain any life-threatening injuries, thank God.
Broke his arm.
Because this happened. Somebody died recently from doing that. But, yeah, he felt pretty nice. He felt pretty nice, homie. I don't know what you were thinking. I get it. You know, it's a celebration. You know, it's one of those things like, you know, the pride of a school, of a college, especially when you dedicate your life to one. And
forget
the
that
energy
day.
that comes. You'll never forget that. But he ain't never going to forget
I mean,
that shit. You fell from all the way.
If he hits his head, he's going to forget it.
Yeah. Shit. Well, obviously not because he didn't suffer a concussion.
Exactly.
He don't have any memory loss from that injury.
That'd be fire.
I know. I heard he broke his arm and he broke some ribs. That's what I heard.
Oh, that's it? That's it?
Congratulations, bro.
Bro, from up there, the way that shit looked, though, I'm not going to lie.
I remember, I saw
Again,
it.
somebody died recently in another college for that same thing. They fell off of one of the posts the same way, but they hit their head, and they actually ended up passing away.
That's wild.
So that's why, like, it was such a big deal that when people saw the one in Gainesville, him falling, it was like, oh, my God, like, didn't you just, like, learn from watching what just happened recently at another college for the same shit? You know what I'm saying? Which I get it, man. The energy, the vibes, you know, being amped up like that. But come on, man.
Come on, man.
You're in college, so that means you have more sense than that. You're smart, man.
Drink responsibly.
yeah.
Drink responsibly, everybody.
There you go. You know what I'm saying? There you go. I can imagine. That's dope.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. No, everybody's losing their minds still. Everybody's excited. Like literally this past weekend, they had the orange and blue game, the football game, and they brought out the national champions during the halftime show. Some of my students told me like they're just out downtown and like when they see the basketball players, everybody flocks to them now. People are getting pictures of celebrities.
Yeah, facts. Well, again, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Since 07.
06.
06. No, 06 and 07.
They
went back to back.
I think it was 05, 06. Maybe. 506 or 6 and 7.
Yeah. Because
I
remember that's when
Joakim Noah was with them.
I was in Gainesville clubbing it out. And it was the same thing.
Well, you were in Gainesville clubbing it out, bro? You were chilling, you were partying?
Yes, hard.
Did you try climbing a light post too?
No, I can't.
Okay,
I can't jump over a damn
I
fire hydrant. How you think I'm climbing a light
want to
post?
make sure you didn't climb a light post too, bro.
No.
Or try it at least.
No, I'm not going to do that. No.
But
they were out there, yeah. Joakim Noah was out in the club. People would come to the entrance of the club to get autographs and shit and pictures with him right then and there. Before he went to the NBA and went to Chicago, right?
So, you know what? With that being said, shout out to the Florida Gators for being the national champions. They chomped away at the competition, devoured them. They beat Houston. It was a tough one, but they beat Houston. Shout out to y'all. Since we're in basketball real quick, just want to throw a little honorable mention since I know I've mentioned before I'm a Magic's fan. You know, I don't care what y'all think about our record. We are in the playoffs. We will be playing Atlanta. We're in the play-in, should I say?
What's the record bench?
I can't remember all the time. But well, no, it's more like I'll put it. It's just the division is weak, so it's one of those that you can have a shitty record and still kind of make it through, like how the Falcons and Tampa Bay do this bullshit. Yeah, like Falcons and Tampa Bay type shit. I can't remember right now off the top of my head.
But 8 and 9.
41-41 is your record.
That's what it is.
41-41.
They went. They went 50%.
41-41.
Okay, so again, but you see that.
Empty.
But you know what's crazy is that they were first in their division.
Really?
With that record. They won. They locked in the Eastern Division.
They mapped it out,
bro. Again, so this is like a Tampa Bay and Falcons situation. You could be 7 and 9 and still clinch the division.
That's worse.
Okay, yeah, we're not gonna get into that because the last time we did that shit during a podcast episode, fucking wasted like fucking 45 minutes talking about these motherfuckers. Anyway. So now that we got all that out of the way, we do have some special pieces that we do want to show off on this episode before we close out. Again, real quick, man, Greg, it was definitely a pleasure chopping it up with you about, the wrestling world.
Throw out your Instagram handle.
Obviously, I know you're going to be going on missions. You're going to catch more matches live. Maybe in the future we would love to chop it up with you again after you, see a couple more. And
I'm going in May.
Boom.
At the end of May.
Look at that.
And also, if there's another con that has a lot of wrestlers, I'm sure Greg would probably be down.
Oh yeah, for
man,
sure.
Go on
I
a mission with us, man.
got
Go on a hunt.
Mick Foley's autograph at Ocala Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's cool people.
Yeah, I've met Mick Foley before.
Yeah.
So did you meet all his versions though? Like, do Love, Cactus Jack, and Mankind? Or did you just meet Mick Foley?
They didn't come with him. I just met Foley, but
yeah, seeing the videos
How about
of
Mr. Sacco? Did he show up?
You ever seen the video with Triple H talking about how Mick Foley used to travel with just like a black bag full of clothes, and he was always like smelly and just he was true to his character and just like
even in real life,
just like he'll be drenched in sweat.
Charlie Brown.
Go take a shower, come back and put the same clothes on.
Like Reacher,
bro, disgusting.
You see,
worse.
Again, the memories just kick in because there's just so many things that you can think about, man. Because just in general, these characters were iconic, and that's how powerful wrestling is. Shout out for them to getting to the point that they are nowadays. And again, man, hopefully, in the future we could talk a little bit more about these new. You're going in May. I know, you're going to be accomplishing hunts again, like he said. Maybe one of these cons, man, you can join us on a hunt. And we could kind of also experience that perspective too of going, I would love. I haven't seen a wrestler in person in a long time. meeting one because
it's right there.
Well, Well, like I said, he doesn't have a hardcore belt, so that until you acquire one, it's the match is still in the air right now. But let's get into these pieces real quick. I know y'all brought some special pieces today.
Yeah. So let me get to the top one real quick.
This one.
So
right here.
So I had gone to one of the libraries, a couple of the libraries here.
Oh yeah,
and
break that down real quick.
So there's a magazine here. So they're doing like RPG game nights. So Josh knows about this. We play D&D a lot.
Okay.
And so this is a magazine right here. They're gonna have an RPG night, and they're gonna have on May 3rd is Free Comic Book Day. So the RPG night is June 21st. So I came across the flyers. I came across the book. I figured we could show some face and be there. So I'm gonna donate that D&D comic. And
okay, check it out, D&D comic real quick.
Yeah. Another one I have, so they can
raffle
raffle
off of that. To that one,
Primo sent it this somebody bought the foil. There you go.
But I got that one, so I was like,
and this is their magazine here, and then I have some of the flyers that I'm gonna leave at JD, and we have at the barbershop too. So just to kind of have Street Geeks,
Have you guys ever were interested or kind of wondered what D&D is? This will be an opportunity to get introduced to it.
Yep.
And if I can explain or simplify what D&D is it's a mental Assassin's Creed. If you ever played Assassin's Creed, it's something similar to that. But there is no Assassin's Creed.
It's very imaginative.
There is no winning. The game is not about winning. It's about storytelling and having a good time. There is no winning.
And trust me, there is a huge community out there. There is a huge community.
At Bearded Brown Coat, they have a bulletin up there with tons of people leaving their names and numbers,
looking for
people to play.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I kind of felt bad when I saw it. There's tons of sticky notes all over the place.
That's wild.
Yeah,
people begging to find DMs.
The one guy at the mall kind of felt bad. He kept asking us to join.
Yeah, he doesn't work there anymore.
Damn.
Yeah,
I felt bad for him.
Dun dun dun.
Anyways.
All right.
But we're gonna donate. We're gonna donate a comic or two to the RPG, and then on May 3rd on the Free Comic Book Day. We won't be able to attend the library for that one, but anyone who's in Ocala should go to that library. Any of the local libraries, they should be having it in Bellevue or wherever. But we will be at the mall, hopefully, on May 3rd, selling some comics and stuff like that in Ocala at Paddock Mall.
So I got a piece in my hand. I want to say this real quick. Tomorrow, it's the season finale. So as I show you this is just to emphasize tomorrow is the season finale.
Yeah, we're recording this.
You
Monday.
cannot.
Yeah, right. It's not even gonna be out.
Oh shit! Well,
season finale's
yeah,
already out.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
it's
yeah,
already out.
So listen, when y'all watch
it.
this, the episode will be out. Okay, the episode will be out, and so y'all know this is a fire ass comic right now. You know what I'm saying? If you don't mind, I'm gonna remove it out of the plastic.
Yeah, definitely.
like
so
that.
You see it the best.
Daredevil. For those who haven't been watching, I know I've been seeing a lot of sneak peeks and leaks of season 2, and hoping that tomorrow's season finale, when we watch it, we're gonna see some stuff just building up to how intense it's gonna be. But this dope piece right here, so signed by
Gabriel Del Oro. That's a 1 in 200 ratio.
And they're dropping a new cover too, right? With the one that Noel mentioned.
Yes,
it's fire. I want to get that one. It's really awesome.
So the cast is coming to Spookala towards the end of the year. I think I'm gonna crack that open and have them sign it and read it.
Crack it open, man. It scares me when with the fact that you have to like crack one of these open.
I just cracked open my boys slab to get Queen Meave on it.
Mm-hmm. That guy cracked that slab pretty fast too.
Yeah, he did.
I hope you don't mind me
cracked that slab quick.
This isn't my world, but like I see like it's got the like 9.8 on stuff. Like, have you ever seen like a 10?
Yeah, I had a couple.
You've had a couple of them?
Yeah, so
like how hard is it to get a 10?
It's pretty hard.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty hard to get 9 9s actually.
Yeah,
and we've had.
It's almost like it's got to be straight off the press down there to even
at least 10 9 9s.
So 9 8s are like your highest grade. That is like this book is damn near perfect. 9 9s and 10s are fucking perfect.
Yeah, you're shooting for 9 8s.
Yeah, every time you want 9 8 or better. If you got a 9 9, it's holy fuck. You got a 10, fuck.
It's a grail.
Yeah,
it's a holy grail.
Can you tell me because you sell these and stuff like that sometimes, like. What do you think like a price difference would be between a 9.8 to a 10?
It depends on the cover.
It does.
Yeah. Sometimes, so I'll tell you, that Punisher, I have the Punisher with John Berthelot on it. So from the difference between a 9.4 and a 9.6 was like $300. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And just those two digits. Right. You know what I mean?
It's about, depending on the book, if it's a big book, like on a ratio. Mm-hmm. So that ratio right there, if that 1 in 200 ratio was a 9.9, it's probably you're looking at about a 40% increase, 40 to 50% increase.
Yeah, you see, it's funny too
varies,
because the grading system,
and then too depends on the artist. Yeah. Like that's Del Oro. He hasn't been here in what they said 17 years or some shit like that.
So he just came.
So yeah, to get something signed by him, a digit increase, yeah.
And it's kind of similar too with the Pokemon cards. Even though the Pokemon cards they don't do the point systems. Like
no,
the
yeah,
it's either 10s or 9s. Mm-hmm. But like a 10 could be like, let's say a $400 card at a 10. If it's at a 9, it'll be like 150. So it loses like $250 just for a 1 point. Even though you look at it and you're and like, then too, where the hell's the mistake? You know what I'm saying?
It has a cert number on there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you can look up
and it'll tell you
on CGC and see how many 9.8s they are, how many 9.9s, whatever grade you have. It'll tell you whatever.
Yeah, like.
And then there is a difference between signature series and regular series. So there's 2 different lists. So if you look them up, it says 29/8 because it's signed. If you look up a blue one, it'll be 50. You know what I mean? It's different numbers.
It's different. Mm-hmm. So this next piece that we have here is the Venom Lethal Protector #1, a 9.8 signature series.
So that's the original 1992 foil signed by Sam De La Rosa, and it's remarked. So we took 22 of those covers to MegaCon and had Sam sign them, and he remarked 7 of them. Those 7 we sent out to be graded. Mm-hmm. Out of those 7, only 1 came back at 9.6. The rest all came back 9.8.
Man, it was probably the last one that the person was grading. They were just tired. They were like, you know what? I'm tired of 9.6.
I don't know, but we got the labels.
They had a 9.8 run already.
We got the labels to match it.
Yeah, those are Lethal Protector labels.
That's Venom's first series. I think it says it on the back of the gold label. It says his first series.
And then show the back off too, Scotty. Look at that. If that's
1993.
Yeah, if that's not 90s, I don't know
so
what
that's
it is.
Right? That's the proof right there.
Yeah, 32 years old.
You know,
Fire.
with the eraser top.
Yeah, so the reason why we had so many is because, long story short, a buddy of ours ran into an old man that had 30 of them saved in his safe for 30 years.
You hear that?
30 years just sitting there.
But you know
not
how
touch,
street
not
gigs do,
move or
man. They
whatever.
go on the hunt. You know, these guys went and acquired this, and that's like a rare.
And we
you
have
know.
pictures and videos of Sam signing them, each one or whatever.
All right,
It's
so
fire.
this, I got another piece coming here. Josh,
Oh,
I
just
know
grab.
this is coming from your end, Josh. It has to be coming from your end.
Yeah.
Of course. This shit is hard though, especially with
that's one of
the
my
bucket
favorites.
hat.
So that's the LL Cool J homage. You remember the LL Cool J picture? That he's
Yeah,
holding
with
the boombox with the
boombox.
Kango?
You know, I didn't even peep that because I didn't really look at it
That's
yet.
That's LL Cool J
but
homage.
just seeing him with the bucket hat,
with
that
the
shit hard.
custom label. I just fucking grabbed some just to show, but that's out of my PC. It is for sale. I kind of don't want to sell it, but I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that shit's badass. I love it. I just got a lot of dope mouse shit in PC, so I was like, and then
And we got one more piece here before I show you something really cool.
I just got that one out of MegaCon. I just got Chrissy Zulo to sign that. So what's dope about that one is that label is from that issue. So if you look at the back, look at the back of the label. No, the label. The yellow label.
Yellow label.
You see, it's the same image.
It's the same
so it's
image.
the same. It's from that issue.
cover.
Yeah, it's fire.
That's fire.
Yeah, I really like that cover. I want to.
But
keep
that's
it
just
so
something
bad,
they did
but-
with this one. Is that just like?
Yeah,
No, it's
that's
they have a Miles
Chance.
label,
A Miles
and
label
they just
for that.
happened to take
That-
her cover
yeah.
art and put it on that
put
label.
it on there.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yo.
like the Sam De La Rosa's where you got to choose the Lethal Protector
Yeah,
label.
so they-
Okay.
So when you go to grade this stuff out, you want custom labels. They have
give you the options.
They give you options. There's probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 different ones you could choose, and they cycle through them. So like they retire some, they take some out, put some back. So it's always different.
That's why our MegaCon and New York City Comic Con labels are exclusive,
Yeah.
because they'll probably never be
Yeah,
repeated.
the Gators, the MegaCon Gator
Yeah,
label.
we have the
Yeah.
Florida Gator on ours.
Yeah,
that's
so
fire.
those you can't get those no more because that was only for that year. So that's why it's tough when if you have something like Adam had one and he cracked it open, he can't get that label again.
I did.
You
It
know
was
what I
the
mean?
Green Arrow foil,
Yeah.
but I cracked it open to get it signed by the cast of Green Arrow.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
It's justified,
Yeah.
good
I
album.
guess.
Then-
So
So tell me what you got there. Heath.
yeah, you know, I went through hell. You know, I got superpowers too. So to get this helmet, it took a lot. It was a long, hard fought battle. He's in the process of healing. I was able to get away just in time. Man, I'll be trying to come up with some crazy shit sometimes. Okay, I'm just trying to keep shit entertaining.
No, I
so,
get it.
you know, here we are. You know, he's not here to tell the story.
He went from Dr. Doom to
You know, he's not here to tell. This is like a multiversal situation.
Is this normal? Is this normal?
he's weird like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm weird like that.
I just want to make sure. I want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah, not, at least now you know what to expect on the next episode.
Yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know, really cool. This is one thing that I gotta, you know, we've talked about it before, the 3D printing, the levels that you can get. Obviously, there's way more detailed work. Man, people make all types of shit with 3D printing, okay? You can pretty much make anything. But it's just the fact that you can, like, sit here and appreciate things like this, especially if this one's not specifically for cosplaying. I tried putting it on.
No, maybe a kid could wear it, but
Yeah, a kid, but yeah, obviously my dome, I guess, is too big. But this shit is fire. Like, honestly, when you look at this, and I don't even think you're supposed... Oh, okay, yeah, you could see through the eyes. But just the fact that with 3D printing, you could bring some of these things to life. Like, imagine decorating, you know what I'm saying, like your collection room or cosplaying again, you know, special pieces for you to
a
bring.
lot of those cosplayers do.
Yeah, that's what they use.
They'll 3D print their
So
own.
it reminds me of like when I went to one of the last MegaCons and being in line waiting, and just the fact of all the different stormtroopers. You know what I'm saying? Or not the stormtroopers, the Mandalorians. I'm sorry. And how everybody's Mando suits were just, you know, they were kind of similar, but they're all different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you see all the details, and it's all 3D printing, and how they were even talking about it in the line. So, because somebody was just, I overheard a conversation because somebody wanted to get into it, and one of the guys was talking about it. That was a man, and he's like, man, it really doesn't. It doesn't cost much for the machine, but it's just the fact of the materials where all the money, is where it goes into. But just to be able to bring stuff like this to life, you know, painting these things. I've seen some dope Pokemon ones too. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen massive Pokemon.
Yeah. Massive. You know, my homeboy, you know, Harlem. Shout out to him. He has his own 3D printing company. I gotta make sure that on our social media I tag him for y'all to check him out. He does a lot of dope 3D printing stuff. He did like a Miles Morales. I think I told you it was a Miles Morales suit, if I'm not mistaken. No, it wasn't a Miles. I'll have to no. It was a regular Spider-Man. I'm sorry. It was the Peter Parker suit, but it was Biggie in the Peter Parker suit. So,
I remember this.
Yeah. So
I remember this.
Yeah. So that, you know, and like he does other characters now too. They have their own thing now. They have their own shop. I think he's actually opening up a storefront in Gainesville, if I'm not mistaken. But again, it just reminds me of the fact of how amazing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you have the time and the patience
and the resources, the money to actually, because
so that's the thing, like those machines and stuff, to get all that, it gets up there. You know what I mean?
Oh, big time.
Like my homeboy that made that, his base setup is at $1,000. You know what I mean? And then that's not including extra shit to make the job easier.
So I feel like I'm going through the multiverse of madness right now. Look at these. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that came out great.
Amazing.
I have half of the Wolverine helmet as a deco light for the wall, and it lights up. The eyes light up.
Yeah, you see
that
came
out amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
It's crazy how far 3D printing has come. When it first started, it took forever, and now they're printing massive pieces.
Well, again, according to your budget, speed, power on the machine,
and PLAs, they're different.
Yeah,
some
for the
messy,
quality.
Some aren't. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, again, shout out to those who are crafting things like this, because, again, even if I can't wear it, just having this thing holding it, man, this is fire just to have as a display. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, he's shout out to Yo Sway. He's made a bunch of stuff. In fact, on my Daredevil Punisher wall, he made those the skull, the Punisher skull, and then the Daredevil mask for me for my wall. I got something else in the car that he gave me, whatever, that I'm gonna put up on display.
So it makes me want to put him around. If you would have had more, who was it? Was it Thanos? I think it was Thanos, right? That sits in the chair and he has all
there's a few. There's Wolverine who has
all the different masks around him, like he slayed all of you know what I'm saying?
Slade Wilson has the same thing. With
DC Deadpool characters. Did that, yeah.
No, not Deadpool, nigga.
Ugh.
Slade Wilson.
No,
Deathstroke.
No, but Deadpool had one. Didn't Deadpool have one though too, where he had like a multiple, like he killed them. Don't they have like a cover where he had like multiple deaths of superheroes where they like? I mean,
he's killed all the superheroes. Yeah. He's killed the whole universe. But I mean, I have a cover of Deathstroke with just heads of all the DC like.
Oh,
heroes.
With the heads of the DC.
You're talking about the Spider-Man one, the Spider Killer or whatever. He went around killing all the Spider-Man.
Okay,
he's going after the family.
There's a few different variations.
Yeah. Anyway,
so you want that for yourself? That's what. You
I feel like that right now. I feel like I caught bodies holding these. Like I just need Hulk on a leash like Thanos when he got a hold of him.
I will sanitize them, so don't worry about it. They will be sanitized.
Gosh, okay, so you know what, guys? Listen, man. Greg, again, it was a pleasure having you today, man. It was again. Thank you for the insight in your world, man. You know, we're all street geeks at heart. You know, that's the whole thing about it.
We all nerd out about something, so...
Yeah, we're all tapped in one way or another. You know, these passions connect with each other because it's just a nostalgia. You know, the fact that we grew up on these things and they're still alive today. And we're still alive today to be able to enjoy these things, too. You know what I'm saying? Which is very important.
And they cross over worlds, you know what I mean? Like, like I said, the comics has everything. Sneakers, wrestling... hip-hop stuff.
They came out with CM Punk covers.
That they just dropped that for
I grabbed one. I'll show you when it comes in.
Look at that.
He's got his hands crossed.
Yeah, he got tattoos on his arms.
And it says CM Poo.
So, real quick, cool. Do you have like IG, anything to where people can reach out to you, man? You know, definitely, man, because I know networking is a huge thing, especially with what you do. Yeah, shout them out.
Everything's at the Gregory Davis. So,
easy.
I keep it easy. It's like I kind of do this for a living.
And he does photography. So he did Noel's wedding. So
amazing, dope.
Which also too, I know we're getting to the end here. I just want to give a quick. I know you said thank you to me, but thank you for having me. I think this is awesome that you guys put this together. The fact that you have your passion and that you like even take the step of being like, hey, we want to showcase this to the world, and like how it's grown and evolved from something that a lot of people just do in their own rooms. And just be like,
honestly, this started at the barbershop. We're just talking about all the stuff that we love, and our general's like, yo, let's make a podcast out of shit. Let's go.
But this takes like a lot of courage. It's like to just even say like, hey, we want to put this on camera. We want to like showcase our talent and our fun and our happiness and bring all the boys together to do this. So like, mad shout out to all of you for taking that step and going forward with that.
Thank you, brother.
Man, for real, thank you so much, because it means a lot. Again, at the end of the day, we do this because it connects us all together, man, in such a beautiful way. Again, and you know, to be able to share these moments, this is something that, again, this is a special moment itself that I'll remember, even with conversations that we'll have in the future, just for the fact that it all brought us, these passions brought us into this room, and we could be comfortable. That's why I'm fucking weird sometimes, bro, because you know what?
Well, I mean, you just said
to you like this, man. Weird, bro. I'm fucking weird sometimes. Bro. Why? Because it's like, think about it this way. Back in the days, like, we always had this conversation over and over on episodes. It was, you know, they used to call us weird for having this type of love for things. You know what I'm saying?
It was
like getting into character.
Yeah,
it was frowned upon. Yeah.
Until Coles was like, let me get all your graphic T-shirts and buy these bitches.
Shit. So, yeah, pretty much, you know. So,
it's true.
Again, you know, the same thing. You know, it takes courage to, you know, for all of us to be here, but that passion is what drives us. You know, I think that's where we don't even think about being courageous when it comes to this. It's just, man, we love what we do. We love talking about this, and it brought us together today. Again, Greg, I appreciate you so much for being on this episode here of Street Geeks with us, man. You know, with the Daughters.
Yeah, I think, like...
Man, come on, man. A round of applause. We got, like, a bunch of heads in here. Come on, man. Let's catch this shit on sound.
Tribal chief, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think.
Now, respectfully, let's go.
We've got WrestleMania coming and all that.
WrestleMania.
So, yeah. So it'd be cool. Like, you know, we have you during every time WrestleMania comes on. You know, you can come in.
And for real, man, and always give us insight, because again, I might not keep up with it as much, but it's just cool to hear where it's going, because again, it's becoming bigger than you can imagine, and you've been there the whole, you know, along for the ride, you know. So.
And too, watching generations, sharing with generations, just like, you know, how the generations of comics, you know, like giving it to the kids or watching
passing
the movies.
It down.
You know what I mean? Taking their kids to the movie. I remember when I was a kid, my dad, whatever, and now I'm doing it with you. It's the same thing with wrestling.
The only thing is, bro, if you decide, you know, to pass it down to your child, they're gonna have to wrestle you for it, bro. Because the way I feel about it, like when you got those belts, you gotta beat me for them.
You know, I've already said this. Like, if I ever have kids, I'm just letting you know. Like, some people talk about, you know, like how they discipline their kids. Some people just ignore it. Some people like spank them and stuff. My whole thing's just gonna be like, all right, if you talk a smack, you have to go to the backyard. You're gonna be putting the walls of Jericho, and it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Until you can make me tap out, you ain't gonna run your mouth. You know. So
there's only one tribal chief, right?
Hey,
right on. Nah, man. So with that being said, you already know it's your boy Argenis, aka Genocide. We are here, Street Geeks, another episode down. You know what I'm saying? Listen, comment below if you have any questions. Subscribe, man. Share. Let everybody know that we're here. Again, shout out to Greg for giving us some perspective in the wrestling world, bringing a little bit of nostalgia and some core memories back in this episode. You know what I'm saying? That again, it took us all back to our childhood, just like every episode. Make sure you check us out on Whatnot Street Geeks. Make sure you check us out on IG and on Facebook, Street Geeks Podcast. Okay, listen, lock in. Lock in with us. As far as Whatnot, shout out to Matt Capone. Me and Matt holding it down with the Pokemon and Marvel cards, the TCG. We got Josh and Adam holding it down with the comics, But it's not only that, it's just the fact that we're bringing an experience, and that's what we will continue to do. And we will continue to share with y'all every special moment along the way. Shout out to Dun Dollars for being in the building.
Yep.
Like I said, and with that, we out of here.
Bye, guys.
All right, yeah. Peace.